Okay, here we are. It's Queen Mine right here.
Caitlin, if you feel a little bit weird when we start going down, just relax. Because it'll get big when we get down there.
We're gonna go in this. It's like it's a cave, is what it is, you know. Park right here.
Or close your eyes or something.
Okay.
No, because you won't be able to do
Here
that.
we go. Now we're gonna head on in. Okay, here we go. This place is really cool. It's all kinds of different stuff in that mountain. You know, different pathways, all kinds of stuff. Does anybody need to use the restroom? It's right there.
We're go trying to go to the bathroom because it'll be like an hour that we're down there.
There's a little train on the side here, the one that they use. Okay. Here's like one of the, I don't know what they call them, but it would drop you down underground, you know. There's the potty cart. And then the deal, I can smell incense. Somebody's burning incense around here somewhere. Smells pretty good. Really a fun place around here. There's a lot to see. The town itself, you know, it's just really, it's got its own ambiance. So we'll head in here and I'll show you what's inside. We're getting ready to get our hard hats and stuff like that, so we'll get that and be heading in on the train.
Okay, stop.
So we got our hard hat on, ready to roll. We'll get a light. He's putting out lights over here. Goes on your belts, and then you get a light that hooks onto your belt. And then we'll go get on the train. Getting ready. Here we go. We're heading into the mine. 1915. Back up in the hills here. These guys used to work in this all day long.
Alright folks, this is a mandatory stop I gotta talk to you. First thing off the bat, I want you to know, you're already in the Copper Queen mine. You happen to be on the 3rd level. There's 2 levels up above you, 4 levels below you. This mine is 700 feet deep and all the levels are 100 foot apart. Also, in this mine alone, there is close to 240 miles of railroad track. In the city of Bisbee, if we start counting all 29 mines, there is roughly 5,000 miles of railroad track underneath you. Now then, as you look way up there, you see some lights. That happens to be the original Copper Queen mine. As we go by, you can look down it. It's an incline shaft. On one side is a staircase, that's how the miners went up and down. On the other side, still sitting on the rails about 90 feet down, is what is called an ore skiff. Now an ore skiff's sort of like an ore car. That's how they hoisted the ore out of the bottom of this mine to this level to take it out. Now then, folks, we're actually sitting in the narrowest part of this mine for one reason. Does everybody feel okay?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to get claustrophobic and start throwing rocks at me?
My mom might. My mom might.
Quit looking down there. I saw you see them rocks. All right. We're going to go on. I'm watching you. You're looking at them, weren't you?
I'm going to grab it over here. My mom might. She's claustrophobic.
All right. I got to stop and open the air door, but please stay on the right.
Look at all the timbers right here they used to shore this up. Stay seated, girls.
We're seated.
Look at that shaft right there. The stairs going down.
Oh my God, look how far down it is.
Wow. Yeah, it goes way down there. Can you imagine those guys on that movie that we watched that got stuck? Remember down in that mine in Chile or where was that? Oh, look at the side of the rocks right here, babe. It's real pretty with the light shining on them. Yeah. There's really not a lot to them. They're just kind of a white rock, you know. It's got to open up
How does that close?
an air shaft.
That seems scary. Tight.
And then we keep going on down.
Don't pay attention to the light. Just hold on. Just don't pay attention.
You're fine.
Die. I got her. Ring the bell again. We're going faster. Okay. Now I'm going faster. Not like we're going to die at like 10. Are you sure? Some people don't even get hurt.
Pretty far in the mountain right now. So I think we go 1,500 foot back. It's getting colder now, huh? That breeze blowing. I think the constant temperature is 47, I believe. I think this is where we stop and walk up.
Yes, we need to go to the surface.
Maybe not, I don't know.
It's cold down here.
Now it's warm.
Cool.
Yeah, it is warm.
All right, you're 700 feet from the front of the mine. What we're going to do is we're going to go up 36 steps into what is called a stope, and we're going to talk about the mining in this stope. Also, as we start up, if you need the handrail, use it. But when we start up, you're going to feel a breeze. But as soon as you hit the first landing, it'll be gone. Come on up with me. Folks, this hole that you're standing in, it's not a cave. It's actually called a cut and fill stope. In a cut and fill stope, right up in even to the last days of the mines in Bisbee, if they could remove large bodies of ore and leave this limestone wall supporting everything, they did it. Now there was another stope that was used in these mines. Timber. Just like that right there, square set of timber. Now square set of timbers was used in places where the ground was heavy, rattly, unstable. All the timber that came underground in Bisbee had to be Douglas fir or pine. Why is that? Folks, if a pair of miners was working where they had to timber it up, and that ground started to move, that timber right there will moan, grow, and pop, snap, make all kinds of noise, and that miner had time to get out. Now, there's one thing you need to remember. Back in 1915, every man that came into this hole did not have this little light. He had a candle like this one up here. That's malachite and azurite in the center. All the way around it, that gray rock is called galena lead. Now you see that orange looking rock? That's hematite. That's where the gold's at. And if you look right up here, I used to call it a broken wine glass. A little girl told me it's a champagne glass. That's a streak of native silver, and it's still in the rock. The reason it's still up there, my boss won't let me bring a ladder down here and a chisel. Now you have to understand something, folks. Back in 1915, these men in here with candles, let's say that chef boss says you got to go that way. We want you to start drilling and blasting. Well, in 1915, folks, that's the drill, a hand steel. And the first jackhammer was a 4-pound hammer called a single jack. And a man would start out, hit it, twist it, hit it, twist it, hit it, twist it. Now, why is he twisting it? Well, number one, he doesn't want a steel to get stuck, but number two, dynamite's round. He's got to make a round hole. And after he got in there a ways, they'd say, all right, your hole is collared. You don't have to hold it up there with your hand. Let's give you a longer piece of steel, but we're going to give you a bigger jackhammer. A 12-pound sledgehammer called a double jack. Now this now becomes a two-man operation. One man's going to turn that steel, while the other man swings this hammer like a baseball bat. Now then, you notice my partner didn't come up here? I was going to demonstrate this. You know, they just took all the cataracts out of my eyes. I really don't see that well. I get my glasses next week. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'll have you turn that steel for me. I can't see it. Don't look at me like that. You're with him? I'll give you the hammer and let him turn that steel. Gee, you don't like that idea either, do you?
Well, I don't hold a flashlight very well.
Folks, don't you know that the man that had this piece of steel in his hand turned and told that gentleman that had this hammer, you may be swinging it today. Remember, it's my turn tomorrow. Don't miss. There was a lot of fingers and hands got hit. And somewhere around 1920, this machine came underground. This isn't the fastest drilling machine in the world. It's called a plugger. Took about 25 minutes to drill that 5-foot piece of steel. But this is one of the first machines that started saving lives. It run with air, but it had water going through it. Water to wash out the drilling dust. Folks, miners fell down holes, got rocks on their heads. Biggest killer in these mines was this white dust powder right there, silicosis. And if you look at that rock and you start seeing that shiny stuff, that's silica. Young men that get that in their lungs between the ages of 25 and 28, they'd say, you're dusted, you can't work underground anymore, you can't breathe, you're going on top, you're going to be a watchman, a tool nipper. And somewhere in around the ages of 55, they let them push up the daisies at the Evergreen Cemetery. The water started changing all the mining industry. Now then, got to change a little bit. In the last days of these mines in Bisbee, there was different jobs. On every level was a pipe and track man. Now that pipe and track man's job was to keep the rails in good shape and keep the air and water lines running wherever these machines were. Then on every level was a timberman. The timberman's job was to keep the timber along the rails in good shape so the trains could always run. Then there was a motorman. Motorman did nothing but drive a train, but he had a partner called a swamper. Now the swamper's job was to load and unload the mine cars. You're going to hear about that job before long. Now then, bear in mind with me, in the last days of these mines in Bisbee, there was only 3 kinds of a miner. Also, base pay for a miner was $45 a day. Now in the stopes there was 4 men, 2 on day shift, 2 on night shift. Now day shift was 6 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. Night shift was from 4 in the afternoon to midnight. Now the men that was in the stopes, 4 of them, the company gave them a standard. They wanted them to produce so much rock within a 2 weeks period. Everything goes on a 2 weeks period. At the end of 2 weeks, they tallied up their tonnage. Anything that went over that tonnage, they got paid $10 a ton plus their $45 a day wages. Now your next miner in the mine is that little man in the hole. Now him and his partner only work day shift. They're called raised miners. Their job is to drive a hole from one level to the next level, normally up through an ore body. And as they go up, they have to put in ladders, they have to put in landings, they got to put in air and water lines, they got to carry their ventilation with them. That piece of equipment he's got in his hand weighs 200 pounds. It takes 4 pieces of steel to drill a 7-foot hole, runs with air, runs with water. But the company gave those 2 men a contract. They wanted them to advance up 6.5 feet a day. At the end of 2 weeks, when they measured from A to B on these gentlemen, anything that went over that 6.5 feet, they paid them $100 a foot bonus.